What's up, everybody? I'm Noah Hiles. He's Andrew Destin. Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel. We've got your recap for day 4 of Pirates spring training here in Bradenton, Florida. Andrew, normally we talk about a whole bunch of guys, talk about a whole bunch of storylines. Today, it was Skenes Day. First day we got a chance to talk to Paul Skenes down here for his second spring training. And let's just get right into it. It's going to be a video recap focusing on what Skenes had to say. We could start off by just saying how he talked about this year's a little different than last year. You want to go into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is no guardrails. I think is the best way that I can think of to describe it. Last year, this time at spring training, all the talk was about how much will Paul Skenes be limited? Will he start the year in AAA? Is this a guy who will be operating on an innings limit? He ultimately was. All those conversations, it feels like they're years ago at this point, Noah. Now the point for Paul Skenes is how can he build himself up? How can he make sure that he's ready to go the full 162, make 32 starts, and, pitch as long as needed rather than be operating on some kind of limit?
Right. And it was just kind of funny hearing him talk about how he compared himself to a kid on the first day of school last year.
Yeah.
Where he was just trying to make the team, get to know everybody, but with him having a year of familiarity in the big leagues and also a year of being around this club, he can really work on the little things to take his game to the next level. The main point being, which is our second focus in this video, efficiency.
Right, and absolutely. That's the thing that Paul Skenes is most interested in being better at in 2025 because, frankly, I don't mean to speak for you, Noah, but I'd be hard-pressed to believe there's much that Paul Skenes can do much better than last year.
Yeah.
But he seems to think that he can take it to another level by being more efficient, by being more quicker with his counts, getting in and out of at-bats in a more of an efficient manner. The way that he's going to do that, it's going to be a two-step process. One of it's mindset, trusting the stuff that it's good enough because, believe me, it's good enough.
Yeah.
And also being able to hit his spots with more regularity because when the pitches are being thrown that hard and moving that much, it's kind of hard to hit location. But Skenes, if there's anybody you don't want to bet against, I think this is a guy who could figure it out.
Yeah, and he talked about how this is something he's going to have to really learn in the regular season.
Yeah.
You can only learn so much about being efficient with your pitches in spring training when in his case he's going to get at most 2 innings an outing here. And that's kind of the case for pretty much everyone in spring training. But it's something that starts here. And I think when you have a guy who is looking to build off of so many things rather than try to start from fresh, or I wouldn't even say start from fresh because he was still rather efficient, but rather than building off a strength, he's attacking, for him, an area of weakness. This is the place to do that, and you've got to check all those little boxes, as they love to say here with this team, to prepare yourself to be ready to increase that efficiency in the offseason. His third takeaway, and I think one of the more notable things that comes from Skenes' availability, was 2 new pitches to the mix.
Yeah.
How many does that make now? Is that 6, 7? Who knows?
He's the modern day version of, Yu Darvish.
Yeah.
It's incredible that this guy is basically going to match what Darvish has done, but, throw 102.
Yeah. He adds in a cutter and a 2-seamer to this. Andrew, former catcher. If we're throwing out high school baseball accolades.
Sure.
But no, how do you see this playing into what he already has, with the 4-seamer being so good, with the splinker, the sweeper or slider, however you want to classify it?
Yep.
Change up, I would assume we're going to see a little bit more of that this year as well. If there's the curve, what do these two add into his arsenal?
Yeah, I think this just makes him better against both hitters, which is easy to say, right? That it's going to match up better against righties and lefties. But in particular, I want to focus in on the 2-seamer. This is a pitch that's going to be able to run away from lefties. And lefties last year, between lefties and righties, did far better than right-handed hitters against Paul Skenes. So it's noteworthy because, as good as the sweeper is, as good as the splinker is, those pitches, not nearly as, as efficient, not nearly as effective against lefties as righties. I'm curious to see if this 2-seamer, if it reaches its full potential, can that make it so that no matter which type of hitter you are, you're going to struggle equally as much against Paul Skenes. So in theory, this should better suit him against lefties, but we'll have to wait and see.
I feel bad because we didn't talk about anyone else. There is something else to note here. So it's not just an all Paul Skenes show. If you've stuck around this long, thank you so much. Adam Frazier also showed up today. You had a chance to get an eye on him. He was who Skenes faced in his live BP, through 25 pitches in a live BP today. What were your takeaways from the return of Adam Frazier, Andrew?
Yeah, first one, and put the ball in play against Paul Skenes.
Yeah.
Give credit where it's due. But, looks healthy. Last year he was hampered by injuries. But a notable takeaway for me that was just a lighthearted moment was when Frazier first came onto the field, a couple of us reporters noticed him, and a fan in the crowd, screamed out at Frazier, and he tipped his cap and waved back to them. You see these guys interact with fans at spring training. But I think it was noteworthy because he's glad to be back here. This is something that Ben Cherington talked about, that they had looked into bringing Frazier back at least a few times over the last couple of years, weren't able to bring that to fruition. Now in 2025, they're able to, and it seems like he's happy to be back here.
Got to appreciate it if you're him, them getting his hardest at bat of the season out of the way on day one of spring training. He's the guy who goes up live against Paul Skenes on Live BP. I don't know if you're going to see a better pitcher than that this year if you're Adam Frazier. So props to him for taking that on just day 4. But he's Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. You can follow all of our coverage here on the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel. You can also check out all of our written work at post-gazette.com. We hope you check them out in both areas, and we'll see you again for more content here for Pirates Spring Training 2025.